Oh, baby, is it that time already? 7:30 in the a.m. It sure is. We just so happen to be on the couch and all wearing microphones ready to roll.
We are.
How lucky are we? Thanks for watching the Today in AZ After Show. I'm Paul, that's Rachel, Jen, and Crystal Henderson hanging out on the couch this morning. Once again, representing a broad swath of the color spectrum.
We like our summer colors.
Yeah.
We want to talk about a lot on the show today, so we're just going to dive right into it. We do want to discuss Bernie Sanders' new plan to eliminate student loan debt, although that's a little bit of a heavy topic, so let's start with an appetizer, shall we? Let's dive into a vacation discussion.
Yeah.
Travel website G Adventures says nearly 60% of people aged 25 to 55 need a vacation to escape the stress of work. How is that not 100%?
Why is that
Yeah,
only
I'm
60?
confused.
That said, 34% of travelers in this survey won't even relax enough to clear their minds. According to their research, it takes 8 days to feel rested. So we want to know, do you need a vacation? If so, what do you need a vacation from? Where would you take it?
How long?
Yeah, let's just keep our mind in like that happy place that you take it when you're talking about getting away from the stress of your everyday life.
No, I feel like we need some reggae music in the background.
Yes.
A little steel band music, yes.
Good morning to Diana out there watching, saying hello in the comments section. If you guys have never joined this show before, just jump in the comments and join the discussion. This is our show, not just the four of us, but you guys watching too. We value everything you guys have to say, and we'd like you to sort of steer where we take our discussion. While we wait for everyone to join, though, vacations, plans, places you want to go, things you want to see.
Bucket list for me. I want to go to Hawaii and Italy.
I've never been either.
Hawaii is incredible. That sounds nice.
I need to talk to you before. Mental
I'm dreaming.
vacation. You'll have to tell me the best places.
I feel
Yes,
most
of course.
relaxed when I'm around a beach
Yeah.
water
Yeah.
vacation because I've done like other ones that are more sightseeing and
Yeah.
trips like that where you're kind of on the go, you want to see everything. You've got, I mean, my husband's like an agenda person, so he crams in a ton. But the only time I go with no agenda if it's a beach vacation, and then you wake up and you're like, beach or pool.
Yeah.
That's
your hardest decision for the day.
Rum punch. Yeah, it's very simple thoughts, and that's the only time I think I unwind is
Yeah.
when it's a beach vacation.
Yeah.
I can see that. Or going to the mountains. I love going to
Yeah.
the mountains. And we try to get away. I was laughing because, you know, we had a weekend where we just went camping and it was like a 2-day thing. And I remember getting there on Saturday thinking, ooh, I have all day Saturday. This is great. And then a few weeks before that, we went to San Diego. We had like 6 days. And I remember by Saturday, I was like, oh, we only have a short amount of time left. So it's funny the perspective on the amount of days you have. But I agree. Relaxing in the mountains or the beach,
Yeah.
I'm good.
And then sometimes don't you need a vacation from your vacation, especially those jam-packed ones?
Yes.
So maybe that's where that 8 days or something like that comes in, where you need that little extra day to kind of get back into the groove of things before heading back to the office.
I started trying to do that where I would take a vacation, then leave maybe that Sunday, like come back on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, Sunday, I feel like I gotta unpack, I gotta
Yeah.
go back, especially on this shift because you really lose a lot of Sunday night. Do laundry.
The chorus of
pretty much
But I feel like having that Sunday to just be in your own home and kind of reset locally. So I found that kind of helps me really get, because you know, when you fly in on a Sunday night and then you're back to work on Monday morning,
Oh, that's so hard.
yeah, I feel like it's harder. So I try to get back a little earlier.
We used to do that pre-kids. Now we can't. Yeah, we can't. There's just no way.
Christine is recommending G Adventures, says they have lots of great trips. I can't vouch for them, but
they?
Christine seems to
Cool.
think so. If you
Is
have
it a
questions,
cruise situation?
hit her up in the replies. Yeah, I don't know. Diana says 5 days by myself, just relaxing. Natasha says she needs a vacation, and a cruise sounds pretty good right about now. Amy
Charles,
asking for a little love
Vegas.
this morning. Says, please pray for my mom. She's in the hospital. Amy, our thoughts go out to you. Hopefully your mom is feeling better soon. Peggy wants to take a vacation because she doesn't want to leave all the hard-earned money to my kids. Well done, Peggy. A little sense of
So
humor.
we have a saying in our house where we're like, there are two things. There is a family trip, and then there is vacation.
Right.
Those two things are very
Not the
separate.
same.
When my husband and I go away together, it is a vacation. You're not lugging all the stuff. But when the other times, because family trips can be very exhausting in and of themselves, because you've got kids going in 80 million directions and you got to pack all the gear and whatnot. So very different from like a carefree vacation, just with the hubby.
Definitely. I'm just laughing because I'm remembering the old days. Like, yeah. No, not
Remember
even.
those days
not
when you
even
would
a
wake
thought.
up at 10 and just,
Yeah.
you know, what do you want to do today?
Where do you want to hike and where do you want to end with a cocktail? Let me know.
Yeah, it's like 5 of you crammed into one hotel room and you're trying not to. It's like, I can't get up to go to the bathroom because someone's going to wake up and hear me. We used to have, like, back in the day when you had the pack and play. I mean, my poor kids have slept in, like, walk-in closets and bathrooms at literally every hotel in the world. And we would, like, do the whole commando crawl so they would not see you, and you can't make a peep because once they're up and you make eye contact,
you're dead.
Your day is over.
You're dead.
Oh,
You're dead.
my.
I just hold it.
Don't let them see. And then sometimes
lay
they
there.
see you hear this, Mommy. And you just freeze. Everybody freezes. Don't look at each other. Don't look at them.
They're like dinosaurs. If I don't move,
Trying to blend into the wall.
They won't see.
Pretty much.
Traveling with kids is like another, it's just crazy.
I'm sure everyone in the comment section can relate. I mean, I remember finally being one of those kids raising hell on mom's, going to Disney World down in Florida. I remember how stressed out my mom was when we took that, like, I'm from the Midwest, so we don't come out to Disneyland. We go down to Disney World in Florida. But, it's like a rite of passage. Like, you got to take the kids there once when they're in that window of that certain age. And my poor parents saved for forever to take me and my siblings on that trip. My little brother got, like, some nasty case of the flu. He had, like, a temperature of 103, and he was in and out of the ER, and, like, it stormed for like 3 out of the 4 days we were there. And like, I just remember my parents at the end of the trip looking like they wanted to kill us. Like, just put us in the bathtub and put us out of our misery, And like, I remember that vacation being like so fun and like, oh, it was wild. And yeah, it rained and that
They were
and
in hell.
Kevin was sick or whatever, But like, it was so much better for me than it was for mom and dad. You're looking at us like, I'm never having kids.
No, I'm also starting to think that's why never growing up did we go on a vacation or a trip. I think maybe one to Disneyland. Was I a bad child?
No.
They were like, we can't take her anywhere. She's too out of control. That's why I make up for it now. I'm traveling like every week.
Good. Get out there.
I think it's one of those, like, we kind of decided before we had kids, we're like, you know what? We will power through this. We will be one of these families who still travels with children. We will eat at nice restaurants with children. Like, we had this whole mandate. We will not give up our lifestyle for children. So sometimes it's more painful for us than it is for them. But we suffer it just because we're like, we don't want to be those people that just sit at home because they're scared to take their children out.
No, and you want your kids to have new experiences.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. We took the kids camping a couple weeks ago with my husband's family, and we had the best time, even though our 2-year-old screamed the entire first night. And not just like, I'm not sleepy, like kicking, flailing. Why am I in a tent in the middle of the forest? I'm terrified. And then the next night we were at the fire pit, and I was like, oh, we can have a drink and s'mores. Screaming again. She's so tired. She hasn't napped. And all the other moms and dads out there that had kids now that we're in college were like, as I'm just like, they're like, we've been there. It's fine.
Yes.
You gotta do it. The kids love it.
You have to do it.
In
the end, you have good memories, even when it's horrific.
Right. Memories are different depending on who's keeping the memories, but they're always fun to compare and contrast when you get a chance to talk to your mom now that you're an adult. David, big fan of the show, said he's playing golf at the Alpine Country Club with the guys. I hope it's nice and relaxing. I don't know if you mean today, David, or if you meant that you're going another time. Probably a little warm to be golfing today, although I am doing the same. I like braving the temperatures because it's cheap. I'm just such a spendthrift. I can't afford to play on ice courses except for in the heat of the summer here. But
make sure you suck down that water.
Deals,
Charles is in Vegas all next week. Congrats.
Ooh, yeah.
Boy.
Won some money at the craps table for me. Dana is trying to get out to an Amtrak trip to Baltimore, Maryland. Loves taking the train. A little old school method of travel.
I want to do that. I want to take a train thing.
They have one on the West Coast that goes south to north. I've seen it on Thrillist. I want to do it so
I know,
bad.
I've never done a train or
$100.
cruise. Those would be two great bucket list things.
Diana's feeling a train ride too, and a cruise as well. Maybe you guys can team up, take a vacation together, send pictures, let us know how it
You
goes.
matchmaking Paul Gerke.
I've got a confession. In my adult life, I've never been on a vacation. Not a single one. No, every time I have my time off for work, it's go home to see family or maybe take a weekend to see old friends. Like, that doesn't really qualify as a vacation, I feel like.
That's not like a
maintaining your social
Hawaii getaway or
relationships.
something.
Is not, it's
right.
like I've done like a weekend in a destination city like Chicago with a friend or like a weekend up in Seattle or whatever with buddies, but like a bachelor party or a wedding, like that's all my time off.
Yeah.
We don't get more than that, like 2 trips home a year to see my family, and then whatever odds and end days to catch up with friends. I haven't taken a vacation in my entire professional adult life.
You need a vacation, Paul.
You want to give me the time? You want to loan me some days
come
off?
to
All right.
Jamaica.
I'm in. I was waiting for
Back
the invite.
to Jamaica.
I will watch the kids and make sure that they only have 1 or 2 injuries apiece. The entire
I
time
know.
we're out
Can
there.
we all go on that trip? I want to go to Jamaica.
Everybody. So I'm from Jamaica, so I'm definitely partial. But I'm like, it's the one place on earth I feel I can just relax and enjoy
fantastic.
myself, eat great food, listen to the music.
I'm in.
I would take
Oh,
the housekeeping duties
everybody
just to
come.
go.
Seriously.
All right,
We'll need a
done.
Team 12 trip to Jamaica. Everybody's
On the
going.
calendar.
Be so fun.
Everybody watching, you're not necessarily invited. You might want to check.
Everybody come on to
God.
Jamaica. I'm telling you, it's fun. But I know people always complain about Jamaica. If you do it on a cruise ship, that doesn't count as going to Jamaica. So
the same
don't
thing.
start lighting me up telling me it's horrible. If you go there on a cruise, you don't get to see the true island and the people and all that. So I don't count if you stop there on a cruise.
All right, let's take a vacation from this discussion and get to our ICYMI. In case you missed the action on Today in AZ this morning, this was another one of the talking topics that we had a lot to say about. I want to hear what you think after you watch this.
More than 200 of you are sounding off on this morning on our Facebook page. Danny says he's on board with it if the feds are going to pay some of the loan for our houses. Fair is fair. And then Stuart said, it seems nice, but changes the economic choices. College is an economic choice. It'd make more sense having lower interest, but free isn't always better. We've been getting another, let's see if we can get one here. The issue is twofold. With high interest rates and people financing educations at schools they can't afford to attend, just because it's your dream school doesn't mean you should go. Mortgaging your future isn't a taxpayer responsibility, just like a dream car or a dream home. He says you got to work for it. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Should the federal government forgive college loans? What are you saying? Yes for all, only for some? None, because it's just too expensive. You can go to 12news.com/bullhorn. We've been getting a lot of really good responses on all sides here.
I would argue with Susan there and say pursuing a higher education is not the same as buying a car you can't afford. Those are two very different concepts. This sounds strange to be dumping this much money into paying off debt, but we did it back in 2008 when we bailed out the big banks, we bailed out the auto industry. So it's not without precedent. And if you want to talk about an economic stimulus, putting that money back in my pocket that I'm repaying my student loans on, I tell you what, I would spread it around. I might even give you guys a couple bucks.
Look at that.
Just saying. Just
Everyone
making it
gets
rain
a
here at
tip.
the desk
Yep,
every morning if
it's
my
happening.
student loan debt's forgiven.
Paul Gerke's feeling generous today.
I look for any excuse to do the make it rain gesture at any given time. Not a whole lot of instances in which that's applicable, but I found one today.
Sure did.
I'll dive into this can of worms first. I mean, this is a pretty heavy topic, and it's a little heavier than the things we usually discuss on the show, but it's something that affects all of us. I mean, I don't know if you guys have any outstanding student loans, but if you don't, you are 1 degree of separation from somebody who does. We're talking trillions of dollars being owed in this country right now. And however you feel about predatory student loan practices and high interest rates or loaning money to people who aren't necessarily great candidates to pay it back, leave all that aside and just think about what it would mean to the bottom lines for everyday Americans if this is something that they actually put into practice. There are a lot of countries who are really well off that have tuition-free education. This is part of the plan too. It's not just repaying the loans, it's making colleges tuition-free. And if you want to pursue higher learning as an avenue for furthering yourself as a person or to get into a career path, that option is there for you. In the United States, it's not like that. And the cost of tuition, I don't know if you've looked at colleges lately, but it is just astronomical.
It is crazy. When I started at ASU, it was $1,200 a semester. I don't even know what it is now. It is, because that was, 10 years ago or whatever. It is insane. And I was lucky enough to be a part of the Leadership Scholarship Program at ASU. It was all paid for.
Yeah.
And, but then on the other side of it, I have a lot of friends who partied in college.
Yeah.
They put everything, their rent on their loans. They didn't save. They went out, and now they have these huge loans. And I remember being alongside there with them, scrimping so that I didn't have to go into debt. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course you have huge loans right now. I remember how you. So there's definitely.
But it's such a case sensitive thing too. You can't really demonize one person,
Right.
for not being smart about their money. For example, and I'm not trying to sound like a martyr here, but I didn't really have any financial assistance.
Totally.
Mom and dad did not supply any college money for me. I worked all throughout
Right.
college, and yet I still have a ton of debt. And I don't want, I'm in favor of this plan. I'll be frank about it. Looking at the basic tenets, there's probably more research to be done, but just basically, I'm in favor of the plan. But that's not saying that I want to absolve myself of the guilt from taking out a huge amount of money in loans. I understand that I took that money out, and I understand it's my obligation to pay it back, and I've never missed a payment, and I have no intention of doing so. If I have to pay that money back, that's the pill I assumed I would have to swallow when I got out of school. But if there is another way, if there is a way to sort of, as Bernie Sanders said, hit the reset button on college debt in this country, I think that would be a good thing. I think it's about time we start to learn from other countries who have enforced a free education system and gotten away from commercializing like self-betterment. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like the insurance industry is like this too. Like we're charging people an arm and a leg to have life-saving procedures or to take life-saving medicine. Like it should be a right to have health care. In the same way that I think it should be a right to pursue higher education, especially the way the internet is nowadays. Like I could get on Wikipedia and learn way more than I was ever taught in my college classes. You know what I mean? Just like on my own volition. I don't know. It's definitely a hardy topic. I'm curious to see what the people are saying.
It's a big thing to take on. A lot of people, I think because when you hear $2 trillion and, when we got in the situation with bailing out banks and things like that, you think, where is this money going to come from? Am I, as a person who maybe did not go to college, was self-made or what have you, am I going to be paying for the sins of others kind of thought process? So a lot of people, like Jody says, I save for my daughters with a 529. People need to plan better, maybe give up fancy nails, cars, vacations, keeping up with the Joneses, all that other stuff. So, they're saying, maybe we should have started planning earlier. And, there is some concern about how and in what way the government would get involved.
Well, Bernie Sanders' plan, at least from what was laid out yesterday, was that it's a 10-year, $2 trillion repayment plan that more or less taxes day trading. So it's a flat percentage fee that's taken off of trades and bonds being exchanged. It's sort of like a we bailed you out back in the Great Recession, Wall Street. Now it's your turn to bail us out sort of thing. As you might imagine, the people that are making all sorts of money on Wall Street aren't as keen on the idea as the everyday citizens who wouldn't know how to make a stock trade if you held a gun to our heads. So curious to see where it goes, though. I think just based upon experience and based upon seeing how the sausage gets made on Capitol Hill, I don't think this has a fighting chance in hell. But it's fun to talk about at least.
Susie says, yes, as long as they give back to the community. These kids are coming out of school with an average of $50,000 and then can't find a job. So that's the other thing. So eventually they're going to end up with bad credit, and it takes years to take those funds back. But how does that work? Just because I didn't have a student loan, but if you get out of school, you have trouble getting a job, which is quite common these days. Are you kind of put on hold until you're able to actually have some form of income?
So it depends on who your loans are taken out from. A lot of us have secondary loans. So I had my federal student loans, which are not actually owned by the feds. They sell them out to other companies like Sallie Mae or Chase Bank or whatever. A lot of those places have stopped doing business with the government because so many people were defaulting on their loans that it was bad business for them to do so. But a lot of us have secondary student loans, and then our primary student loans are through the government. So those interest rates are a little lower generally. But they're still making plenty of money off of you. You can enter, there's like a grace period after you graduate, and then there's like deferments that you can take if you can't pay. From what I understand, they're pretty lenient about this. Like, for example, when I was fun employed for 6 weeks before I took this job, I paused my student loans. I missed 2 payments. I had like 9 months of deferment left on my duration of my loan. So at any point, I could take like 9 months to get my stuff figured out, basically. So I took 2 months then and didn't make a payment for 2 months, and then came back and resumed my payments once I got this job. There are options out there, but the problem that a lot of us fall into is that the payments we can afford to make will never repay the loan. Like, you'll be paying it until you're dead.
And years, and you don't even make a dent. You're not even making a dent.
In the interest. So like, so I'll just use another personal example. Like, when I came out of school, my first job that I got with my degree was making $17,500 a year in television.
You were rolling in the money.
Right. And I suddenly, hey, time to pay your loans back, pal. So they have what's called an IBR, or an income-based repayment plan, where you can't pay more than, I think, 10% of your gross income to your student loans. So when you're making no money, that's a really smart decision, but you're not cracking into the base of your loan. So then I get to my next job, right? I'm still on the IBR plan. My payment basically doubles because my salary basically doubled, but you're still making $34,000 a year. advance to your next market, and I'm actually making a little more money now, upwards of about $60,000 a year, which is still nothing to shake a stick at. But then I could not qualify for the IBR anymore because I made too much. So I had to switch to the graduated repayment plan, which made my plans palatable then, but they like double every 2 years. So I just got redoubled here. My student loan payments are over $600 a month now. And I still owe over $30,000 to the feds just in my student loan, my government student loans. I still haven't paid off my secondary student loans.
Oh, geez.
And I've been out of school for almost 10 years.
Yeah, I know. I think, something interesting to look at, because I'm really glad this conversation is coming up. It's obviously extremely important, whatever decisions that they make, is to take it back to elementary school and junior high and high school and put in those classes. I know they do have some where they're teaching kids like, this is how you save for college. These are the smart choices to make. Maybe don't go to the one, and I'm not, saying that you do or whatever, but that's $100,000 a year. Maybe start at the community college, and these are ways that you can be a TA. I know I was able to
college
do that.
prep type of a
and
class.
just money saving. I think more like life skills.
Yes,
and I
to
know
start
that
earlier.
schools have gotten a lot better than that. But like when I went, there was one stock market class that you could take for like 1 year, and I learned so much just in that one. And if your parents at home aren't helping you out or teaching you about saving and things like that, then you don't know. And so it definitely is a conversation I think that needs to start from a very young age.
Yeah.
And when, say this plan were to go through, wouldn't this lead to even more conversations of then maybe there would be such an influx of people now going to college?
Is that a bad thing?
No, but then they need to prepare with more professors,
Right.
more
And think about the
campus,
majors
more-
that you're choosing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this
No,
one
it's a
is
great
going
thing.
to
They
get
just need
me.
to, right.
This job is in demand right now, so maybe I should go this route.
Imagine how many people would get higher education if it was more widely available and affordable, period. I mean, it's so, it rules, unfortunately.
crazy how expensive it
it's
is.
become prohibitive for a lot of people, and it's very daunting.
Yep. It's
You know?
scary.
Yeah.
There was a generation of us brought up to assume that we were going to college, whether we needed to go to college to pursue a vocation or a trade or anything like that. And I wish somebody could have shaken a bunch of us and been like, that debt's not worth it to you. Like, nobody wants to be told they're not going to cure cancer or fly a rocket to Mars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But some people do need to have that discussion at an early age. Like, Jimmy, you'd make a hell of a pipe cleaner, but you're probably not going to be a scientist one day. You know what I mean? So maybe don't go to school. Maybe go to a trade school. Maybe go to community college, see how it treats you. There are certainly cheaper ways that I could have pursued my education. The community college route would have been one of them. But I didn't go to the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, because tuition was $100,000 and change in student debt.
Wow.
I went to a commuter school, U of M Flint, and I'm still saddled with tens of thousands of dollars student loan debt. And I make decent money now.
Yeah.
I'm in like the 5th stage of my career progression, and I'm at a point where I'm still struggling to pay money back. I can't even imagine what somebody is paying, that's in the same position as me that hasn't been as fortunate in their career. So anyway, there's not enough time in the day for this discussion, but thanks for listening to us yammer on and on about it nonetheless. We got to get going. We're running out of time. Another Today in AZ After Show tomorrow at 7:30.
Have a great day.
Pay your loans back. Don't go to school, kid.